Yo BrainRots, welcome back to yet another video of mine. Today I want you to think. Do you notice in the world's economy that something strange is happening? Governments and big countries, they are buying massive amounts of gold, and gold prices are reaching record highs. Central banks, they usually move quietly, but when they all buy the same thing at once, something totally different happens. So what is the world preparing for? So if and why, if rich countries they trust paper money so much, why are they suddenly rushing forward to gold yet again? To understand this first, we need to understand why humans even trust gold. Gold, it has been valued for thousands of millennia, for years. Why? Because gold is rare. It is a rare metal. It is hard to fake. You can't. It is very hard to fake gold, and it lasts forever. It does not rust like all the other metals. Even ancient kingdoms in our past, they used it as money, as coins, and kings in those eras they had tons of it. So because of that, people, we trust it naturally. And unlike paper money, governments, they cannot print unlimited gold. Gold is often seen as real value. So whenever there is fear, whenever there is uncertainty like a war or a crisis, a recession, humans, they always return to gold. But before we get more into why countries and the global powers are buying a lot of gold, you need to know that the world before, they had left gold behind. Countries at the start, I have discussed this before, they used gold backed currencies before. Money, it linked directly to gold reserves. Then economies, they grew bigger, they grew more flexible, and governments, they wanted even more flexibility. And after the World War II, US dollar became dominant, really dominant. It had crossed a pound and you could say had become an international currency. And the whole world, they trusted America and the dollar system. Now it is easier to print money and grow economies. Gold, it slowly became less important. But central banks, they never fully abandoned it. So why are countries buying gold again? Now you would remember COVID-19. Inflation, it shocked the world. The COVID-19 virus pandemic, it shocked the world. And the inflation. Governments, they printed huge amounts of money. And people realized that money, it loses value really fast. Debt, the levels of debt, it exploded for billions of people. And wars, increasing global instability, made even more inflation. There were trade tensions which were growing between countries, and countries, they feared financial uncertainty. Now gold becomes protection during chaos. Governments, they are probably preparing just in case for something else like this. Now, and another reason, it is that most global trade, it uses the US dollar system. And the United States of America, it is extremely powerful in financial terms. Their sanctions can freeze countries out of the system. Russia situation, it scared many governments, and countries realized if relations go bad with the US, our reserves, they could be really vulnerable. Gold, it cannot be frozen easily. Physical asset countries control themselves. Some nations trying to depend, they are trying to depend much less on the dollar so they cannot have more sanctions, more restrictions in the future. Not just for replacing dollar tomorrow, but they are preparing alternatives slowly. Now first let's look at China, their strategy. China is buying huge amount of gold. One of the biggest importer of gold today. It wants stronger financial independence, and they are reducing dependence on the US system. Because you see, China and America, they are the two global powers which control this world. And the competition between China and America is growing very fast. And the gold, it acts like and national insurance. And China, with this goal, is thinking decades ahead in the future. Now, Russia, let's talk about Russia. It has increased gold reserves for years. Sanctions changed global thinking. Russian foreign reserves, partially frozen, which that changed their thinking. Like you already know, they have sanctions on them right now. And other countries, they watched carefully. And they realized digital money systems, they can be political weapons, really powerful weapons, which can literally turn off the economy of a country. But gold, it cannot be turned off. Physical wealth still matters for the people. And countries, they are now balancing reserves very differently. Other countries, not only global powers, other countries are also joining, such as India. They are buying gold very steadily. Turkey, they are increasing their reserves a lot. Even Middle Eastern countries, they are diversifying. Emerging economies, they want stronger protection, and central banks buying gold is literally buying gold at the fastest pace in years. This is not some random investor hype. Governments themselves are driving demand. So why prices keep rising? The answer to that is there is more demand from governments. Investors, they follow central banks, and fear pushes people towards safe assets. Economic uncertainty, it boosts gold, and gold in the mind of people, it becomes that safe asset. Weak economies, they trust gold, and weak trust in currencies, it increases even more demand. Media starts covering gold more, which it has, and more attention equals to more buying. Gold becomes psychological safety. So does this mean an economic collapse? Simple answer to that is no, not necessary an apocalypse. This is not an apocalypse, okay? Rich countries, they are preparing for instability. They have been preparing for instability and instability only. Governments always think worst case scenarios. Gold is protection, not panic. Some similar to emergency savings for countries. But it does show less confidence in stability. Signals that leaders expect a rough future economically. So gold, it never truly disappeared in our history. The world trusted paper money for decades, for probably a century. But now cracks are starting to appear. Inflation, wars, debts, sanctions, pandemics, these all are changing global thinking. And governments are quietly preparing themselves for the future. Gold is becoming important again. So when the most powerful countries on earth are hoarding gold, people should probably pay attention.